What is going on, guys? This is your host, BIGKevin, here with the ModMyMods Meet the Modder podcast. Appreciate you taking the time to join us this afternoon. Today, we have a wonderful guest. Not only is he a Star Wars enthusiast, but he has created some of the most beautiful PCs that have ever been put into existence. Without further ado, let me bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Stefen Ulrich. RandomDesign 3D, I think, right? RandomDesign, I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically just RandomDesign.
Just RandomDesign. Well, thank you, my friend, for being here. I appreciate you being on the show.
Nice. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I can see behind you, you have two things in the background, and I want to address those things first because some people might not necessarily know who you are or what you do or anything like that. But just so I'm clear, that Rocket League thing behind you, car, that's a PC, right?
That's a PC. It's a Rocket Lake basically. So we built it in cooperation with Intel for when it came out, the Rocket Lake CPU. And the design is inspired by Rocket Lake because I thought it's like a nice play with words, Rocket League, Rocket Lake. So I just changed up one of the car designs a little bit and put like the entire system
inside
in a 3D printed car, basically. Yeah,
that's so crazy. I mean, that thing, if you can't see it, obviously take a look at the podcast, which will be available on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. But basically is what he's got is like a if you've ever seen one of those RC cars, like those super beefy RC cars that have, you know, the crazy motors and can do flips and, you know, wheelies and 70 miles an hour. That's pretty much what it is with a PC in it. And that is actually exactly what you do. So let me stop talking and let you continue. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, as you introduced me already, my name is Stefan. I'm from RandomDesign. Originally from Germany, but currently located in the beautiful state of Michigan in the US. What I do most of my time is, basically that. I am building custom computer cases for everyone, basically, or for everything, like for PR purpose, marketing and stuff. So if there's a promotion for a new CPU or GPU, some companies approach me and say, hey, can you build not like just a normal case, but something more extravagant, let's say. And I say, sure, I'm down for the job. And
hence the Rocket Lake behind you.
Yeah. Right. Or like other stuff. I mean, I think we will get to some of the projects in a bit.
Yes.
And yeah, secondly, I mean, if you watch it, you can see in the background also there's like a Mad Hatter costume, and actually I think it's on my right shoulder, over my right shoulder, it's the Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. So on the side, also a little bit of costume making, prop making. So, and currently I'm always trying to combine like both of those fields, like the Rocket Lake, to basically stand out a little bit from the other modders that are around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would have to agree that it's kind of been, I wouldn't say stale. Stale is not the right word. But, you know, now, well, as I was talking to Gadget Joe just a couple days ago, you know, back in the day when you had kink coils, right? UV kink coils, and that was super cool modding and stuff like that. Now it's not
just as the lights inside, and you had, oh man, my PC now it's glowing blue in the dark.
Isn't that super sexy?
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna go buy the blue fans that'll match.
Yeah, I remember the time when like I forgot which company it was, like the first case in the beginning of the 2000s where you actually had a door on the front and the CD drive was hidden behind the door, and everyone was like, whoa, that's crazy.
So cool. Yeah, I probably had one of those. I know what you're talking about because it had like the clicky push style like you have on your stereo that opened the door. Yeah. It was terrible. It was terrible. I mean, what a time to be alive, to tell you that. But now now we kind of like look at it, and I don't know if it's taking it for granted is what it is, but it's more like everything is, you kind of have to go extravagant. And obviously
Yeah.
that's what you're doing, which is just
Yeah.
like some of his work, which we'll get into and talk about different pieces here in a little bit, is just unbelievable. It's all handmade. It's 3D printed or resin cast or completely designed and engineered by yourself. And that has something to be said, especially when you're talking about the PC world, because I mean, we've talked about the various PCs like on display. Like behind
Yeah.
me, you have the couple different builds that we've put together. If you aren't familiar, you can head on over to our social pages and check out our Instagram, which actually will have most of these builds on it. We have the Torque, the Be Quiet, Light Wings, Eyes Cries Lauf, and then obviously next to me, which actually, funny enough, you helped with, the Battle of Hoth. But all of these builds kind of you have to really put some thought and effort into them, because to be unique now is a lot more difficult than it used to be. Again.
Oh yeah, I mean, but what I really like about nowadays basically is you can buy an off-the-shelf case that already looks great.
Yeah.
You have like tempered glass windows, RGB lights installed, like super nice fans that you have like programmable LED lights and stuff. I think like 5 to 10 years ago, it was super hard to accomplish such a style, and now it's with very little effort. Basically, you can have a beautiful PC like standing right next to you. But then, of course, to stand out, nowadays you have to put like a lot of effort in. Like you have to have a different approach or a certain style.
And there's something to be said about your style too, because I've known you for a few years now, and I've followed your builds and all of the things, and I've got to see them in person, and again work with them with this build. Again, if you guys aren't seeing this, Stefen here helped me put together the Battle of Hoth, some of the parts that are here. So a similar process to what he did for the Rocket Lake car, he did for this as well. Just as an example, I know that you can't see this on the podcast, but if you head on over to YouTube, you will. This is just the pump top, which is actually designed like one of the Rebel Alliance turrets that was on the planet there during the Battle of Hoth, and it's actually the cap to my reservoir, which is kind of cool. But that's the style that kind of goes with Stefen, which I think is a perfect way to segue into the some of the builds that that you've put together. My guess is that your name, RandomDesign, kind of comes from, well, whatever the hell's rattling in your head, right? Is that what's going on here?
Actually, during my time in school back in the 2000s, when I graduated from in Germany, basically the equivalent of like high school before you go to university, I was playing Warcraft 3 with a friend of mine, and I made it like a new account, so my statistics weren't as bad anymore. And
padding that's stat padding for those of you who don't know. Yeah, okay.
And in Warcraft, for those of you who don't know, it's like you can choose a race, basically humans, orcs, night elf, or undead. And I played with a friend, so we played like a 2-on-2, and my friend always played orc. And I was like, oh, I didn't care. So, and in Warcraft, you have like different, let's say, achievements. So your profile picture changed when you get like 150 wins, 200 wins,
Oh, no.
1,500 wins. And I was like looking at the races, which picture looks the coolest. And actually, the picture which for me back then was looking the best when you pick random as a race. So you just get a race by chance, basically, every time you play the game.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, if I play random, why not is my name random? So And then as a kid, I also looked like, oh, which year is it? Oh, it's the year 2004. So my name was basically Random2K4.
Got it.
And then when I started like building creative stuff, I was like, oh yeah, let's just take that name, which I by that time ran for years and years. I just Random2K4 design. And then as things grow bigger and bigger, and I got more and more, let's say, professional, I was like, okay, let's ditch the 2K4, which is like it's not good for marketing. And also when your website is basically random2k4design.com, so it's like no one will remember that.
No.
And they like, what was it? 2K5,
Yeah.
6? I don't know. And then over the years, that just became basically Random Design.
Well, I love it. I love it because it's funny how random names will come about just because of whatever you're doing. But it's kind of neat that literally the race selection on Warcraft 3, because I know exactly what you're talking about. When you go into the game, you're like, yep, okay, choose your race. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, or this one. And it's like the banner or whatever. And I remember it being kind of cool. It was like a shield, and it had like the 4 of them, and they were like together.
And like the humans had like different like a picture of a sorcerer or a picture of like a or whatever, and like the random stuff was like picture of creatures basically. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Sure. All right, send it. Why not?
And then I also got like a short period of time where I was like, okay, maybe let's change the name to make it a bit more interesting. But at that time, I already like handed out like self-made business cards to people, and had at that point Facebook wasn't that big, but I had like a small amount of people following me, and I was like, changing now and like creating everything again and making me known again as now that guy. Now let's just stick with this, and now I'm here basically.
Well, that's why I always joke with you, because, is it Random Design, Random 2K, Random 2K4? Like, what is the heck in the, Random Design 3D? Pick a number, damn it! I just, it was pretty funny trying to hunt you down.
I mean, the disadvantage of getting or choosing the name or the tag so late is like, Random Design is already on Instagram, so dang it, I have to put something behind.
Yep. 88, whatever year,
double X or something.
XX, underscore XX underscore. Sick.
Random Design underscore official.
Oh, I feel so bad that people got their like accounts literally snagged from random ass people that just happened to grab that at the right time. You know?
That's why my webpage is randomdesign.org, because the .com domain is already gone, and I mean those guys are bandits basically. I wrote the guy that has the domain, and he was like, oh yeah, I can sell you the .com domain. It's just like $35,000.
It's what? Wait.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, oh no, I just take the .org.
.org is where it's at. That's fine. Organization is that's a lot cheaper than
yes.
Yeah. Holy cow. I didn't know that. That's well, Random Design is in your name, and 3D printing and resin casting is his game. Oh man, wow, I'm a poet, didn't know it. Holy shit. Goodness. Do I get paid this week now? All right, so
you have to put a beat under it now.
Yeah. Are we going to do that later? Is that the sample that we do, Ulrich and Tabor break it down? Okay. All right, sounds good. So some of the random things that you've done and you've put together, if you head on over to his Instagram page, which is instagram.com/randomdesign3D. That's a 3 and D is in Delta. Random Design 3D. Check out what he has got. First of all, his icon is Batman. Yeah, It's not exactly Batman, but it's a suit that he made. That is a Batman-made suit that he's wearing. Yeah, and you can see that in
the
more.
armor from Batman versus Superman.
Oh, even better. And he's actually got links to all of that on the YouTube or on his Instagram page. He links to his YouTube, his Etsy, and stuff like that. You were selling stuff at one point in time on the Etsy. You still doing that quite a bit?
I'm still like in the over Christmas or over the change of year. I closed down to take like a short time out, and now I'm in the process of like restocking some. I mean, I'm just selling small cosplay related like accessories currently, like resin casted bullets, because some people don't like the idea to have real bullets on their costume, but they want it for design purpose. And I'm currently figuring out what to add to the shop and what not. And at some point, I think at the mid or end of this month, I will just like reopen it and see if people are still interested.
I mean, I think they're pretty cool. The Star Wars porgs that you made, did you make those? Those were kind of sweet. Those are plush too?
Felt.
Oh, goodness. That's awesome. So he's got like a little basket. Now, how small or how big is this? I'm just going to try and describe it. Star Wars porgs, those are the little guys that keep Chewbacca company in Last Jedi, right?
Yes,
on the Millennium Falcon. So he's got like a basket that's got, I don't know, probably 8 of them in it. And they look to be like, what, 6 inches tall or something like that? Is that what that is?
Oh, conversion.
No,
I would say,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll do it for you. Don't you worry.
No.
I got
I
you.
say about like 4 to 5 inches.
Oh, okay. That's like 140 to 160 millimeters, right? Is that something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Something about that.
Yeah, that's about that.
Like 10, 15 to 16 centimeters.
Yeah. Son of a... I don't like it when you metric folks come in here and think it's gosh darn Europe. It's not. It's America.
It is so easy.
No, yeah, I know. I don't understand why we have the imperial. I mean, just make it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was so funny when we arrived in the US or when we moved here from Germany. First couple of times in the hardware store is like, dang, I have no. I still have on my wall, like directly behind my monitor or my display, I have a conversion chart. I have like 1 inch, half an inch, 1/16, 1/8, 3/16, and everything written down like in millimeters because I have no idea.
Yep, I understand. It's just it's the other way for us and for me. As long as I can figure out, well, 5 inches is about 140-ish millimeters. That's close enough,
right?
And then if I really need to measure it, I'll go bust out the measuring tape that has both on each one on each side, which is great. But it can be very difficult. However, I do take great pleasure in watching somebody who is in Europe who like lives and dies by the metric system and then goes to the store and what do they buy? Yeah, they buy 2x4s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And 2x4s are even real 2x4.
No, they're like 2 3/4.
Some or like 1 whatever.
Well, yeah, 1 7/8 or yeah.
It's just the about dimension.
Well, I mean that's kind of how America was made, right? It was about that.
But sometimes if you buy half-inch plywood, it would be great if it's really half-inch thick.
No. You need 2 3/8 to make it half-inch. Which isn't 3/8 either. It's like 7/16 or something like that. But you sandwich them together and then you get half-inch.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense. I get it. Trust me. Like, again, 2x4. It kind of stems back to...
So basically, I'm always like, oh, do I need this? And pulling out the measuring tape in the hardware store, it's like, no, bit bigger. No, yeah, that fits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will tell you the whole metric screw system and how that's all divided, and I just don't understand it. But
I need a half-inch 6 screw or 8 or 4.
Half-inch M4 or no half-inch quarter 20s.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I need a quarter inch something or other. They're like, oh, core 20. I'm like, the hell is that?
But what thread size do you want? Like, do you want the 632 or the, I don't know,
The
824?
M3? Yeah, right. Yeah. It's not M3 though. 630 seconds is not M3. It's close.
Oh, how often did I run into problems here? Because sometimes I have a build and then I order like water cooling equipment. Sometimes it comes from the US, sometimes from Europe, or sometimes from like Asia, like Taiwan.
Yeah.
And then you want to screw on the fans on the radiator, and each radiator has like a different thread. It's
wonderful.
Come on, guys.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. I try to make like my M4s happen. No, M3. No, I have to buy the other stuff here. So it's
well, but that I mean, you know, I hate to say it, but that's what keeps us in business. Because you keep calling me and you go, hey, you got those stupid radiator screws that didn't come with this that match everything else? Yeah, I do. I got them in 8 packs, 16 packs, whatever you need. Yeah. Trust me, I get it.
$5 a pack.
Yeah. Yep. It's not $5 a pack. Come on. Is it? We're not. We're not that bad. We're not Home Depot. Let's be real. Home Depot charges you like $3.99 for 4 screws. Like, come on.
Or $4.99.
But
But sometimes it's all. The last build I had, I was like, I think on one day I was in the duration of like 30 minutes. I drove to Home Depot 2 times because I forgot shit. And what do you want to do? Like it's 11 at night, and you have to screw something on, and then you have to buy the expensive screws.
The $8 2-pack.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, okay, they're not terrible. They're, a 4-pack for the Eisbear radiator, which is M3 by 30 millimeter, 4-piece is $3.55.
That's okay.
It's not terrible. If you're a little dangerous and you think you can, bridge that gap just a little bit more, I can save you a couple cents. $2.95 for a 4-pack. They're M3, but they're 37 millimeter. You're kind of getting a little dangerous there if you're running the wrong type of fans.
You're just screwing like right into the fins of the radiator.
That's how it works, right? It just makes it better.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when I don't have the screws on hand, I just like, let's jam it in.
I mean, sometimes sometimes the screw acts like Moses, and it just parts the ways for you, And who knows if it's hurting anyone or anything in the process, but it is clearing its path. And that's kind of what PC building is all about, right? Which is improvising. Because what we're really talking about here is radiators that come from overseas when you're water cooling can not always provide the screws that are needed to mount the fan to the radiator or the radiator to the PC or whatever. They might just go, here you go, here's the rad.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you want to sandwich something between the fans and the radiator, then things get complicated.
Absolutely. And you're never going to get the right size screw, especially trying to do push-pull and go through the case and stuff like that. Good joke. That's funny. Yeah. But that's also why we sell these screws on this awesome website. Let me tell you about it. It's called ModMyMods. You head on over to ModMyMods.com. Guess what? We have all the stuff that they didn't include. I'm dead ass serious. That is pretty much the name of the game for us, because literally you got those screws that didn't get included in the radiator. I got you $2.95 a pack. It's a 4-pack. You're going to need how many? 4 of them, because you probably got a 480 radiator. Which, let me ask you, this would be a nice little sidebar question, because I've asked a bunch of people on our stream and no one has gotten it yet. Maybe you will. Actually, now we're going to have to make sure that we ask this. All right, what if you had to guess? If you ran this ModMyMods website, right, where they had all this water cooling stuff, what would be the number 1 returned item? And if you can get the type of product we'll dive into one more question, a bonus question.
I mean, first I was thinking about like GPU backplates because some people are just not taking care enough of what type of GPU they have. Yeah, maybe I would. Yeah, radiators because maybe they think, oh, I need this 480 in my small ITX case, and then it arrives and it's a little bit too big.
Damn. Wow. You got it. Not only did you get the question correct, but you got the bonus question without even knowing what the bonus question was.
So it's a 481.
You goddamn right it is. It is a 480 radiator. It doesn't matter the thickness. It does not matter the type. If it's a 480, it is coming back. Guaranteed. And we joke about it because every time we pull one off the shelf, we go, oh yeah, we'll see that in about 2 weeks. Because that's what happens.
Why the 480? Why not the 420?
I don't know. I don't understand. Like 420?
Yeah.
No, we sell those all the time. They never come back. Almost never come back. But the 480, every single time. Doesn't, and again, could be the ST30, could be the XT45, you know, nice little, the thick guy. It could be the Monster. Doesn't matter. Always comes back.
Maybe they didn't realize they have to use the 140 fans and not the 120 ones.
So I think what happens is that they go and they look on the website, right, when you're picking out a case, in which, you know, this, honestly, if you don't know any better, how would you know that this is the case? You know? Haha, get it? Because you're talking about cases and chassis. All right, anyways. So if you are on the website, you're looking at a computer case and it says, oh, sick, supports 4 140mm fans, you automatically go, oh, sick, that means I can put a 480 radiator on there, because when you take 140 and you add it together 4 times, it makes 480, so that must be what it means. Yes.
Technically.
Sort of. Radiator has a little bit of a bubble butt, as you would say. I mean, it's got the muffin top and the bubble butt, really, because like it's not 140mm. It's like 150. You know, sometimes depending on what size or what type of radiator you're using. I mean, hell, the water cool radiator that I'm using here is like huge. Like it's
the EK one.
Oh, same thing, right?
Yeah.
So my guess is that, which, by the way, congratulations on winning. I don't know what you get. You get a pack of screws, $2.95. As long as you pay for shipping, you can have them.
I will sell them for $5.
Yeah, sure, no problem. But that is one of the top returned items. And now, again, I think it's just because people think, you know, 140mm, there's 4 fans, I can get 140s in there, yeah. And then they forget about that extra, you know, 25mm at the very top, where you have the end caps, the tanks on the radiator, and then, I don't know. So congratulations, by the way, you won on that. But that being said, not knowing the size of things and the shape of things and how things are going to get in there and fit in there is pretty much, you know, our bread and butter as modders, right? You know, where we, you know, people say, oh, you can't put a 240 in there. And I go, yeah, watch me. Don't tell me I can't. I'll cut this thing in millions of pieces. I'll jam it in there and then weld it back together if I have to.
I have cut my own like private computers also.
Yeah.
The radiator doesn't fit quite. Because I don't know why. On the website it says it can handle a 360 radiator on top, but no. Also, I changed the position a little bit because I wanted to make like a custom hard tubing loop. So I was like, I have to jam it a little bit here, and I mean, just pull out the Dremel, cut in like small holes.
Nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. Have a steady hand. You use some painter's tape, and you mark it off. You try your best to plan out your attack. You know, they always say measure twice, cut once, right? I'm unfortunately no good with wood at all in any way, shape, or form. I can't for some reason. I can do metal, I can do cars, I can do combustion motors. I don't get it. I don't understand. But that being said, modding is kind of like an art form in the sense that, you know, a carpenter doesn't just go and build a chair. I mean, sure, yeah, when he starts out, he is kind of trying to start to build a chair, but over time, the more and more you progress and the more you mod, the more and more you start to do things and do things a little bit differently or more out of the box and, you know, cut holes with a Dremel in your case in order to make the radiator fit, which, you know, I mean, I cut this thing, the Battle of Hoth. I mean, hell, I think that was the first thing we did. As soon as we got the case, I saw that the motherboard wouldn't actually fit, which is interesting. The Fantex 719 case that does say that it supports a full-size ATX board does not actually really support a full, like, super full-size ATX board. So I have the TRX 40 that's in there, and it's, you know, fully stocked and got all the crap in it and all the PCI slots occupied, but that bottom lip, where it actually, you know, where, if you know the 719 case, it has like a curve around it where it's elevated. That bottom lip is actually too big. So we had to cut a giant hole in it in order to make the actual motherboard sit in there the correct way. Which is, again, just something that you kind of learn over time, you know, when you're doing these mods and these custom things, is that not everything is going to go to a plan, and the things that you think are going to fit in there are definitely not.
I mean, the good thing is when you start modding is that at some point you are just not afraid anymore to cut also in like expensive cases, because you have the feeling, oh yeah, no matter what, I can make it fit.
Right. And I can make it better. If not better, I can at least, I don't know if cover up is the right word, but yeah, cover up my mistakes if I've screwed up somewhere, you know? Like if you cut an edge somewhere that wasn't exactly perfect or whatever, it's no big deal. You know, you can get a little trim piece, or you can, you know, little extra painter's paint marker or something like that to make it look nice, whatever it might be.
I mean, that's when some of the best design decisions come from, basically. I had a friend who was building a PC completely out of like acrylic glass, and he dropped it, and one corner just broke off. So he was like, okay, let's make a 45-degree angle, but on all sides now, because you cannot only have it on one side. And basically, it looked way better that way.
Huh.
When he just like, oh yeah, cover up my mistake, and now I just incorporate the mistake into my new design idea. And
sometimes if you can't hide it, you flaunt it. And that's, you know, some of the things that I've learned over the times. Like the reason that I did the scuffed tubing on the Battle of Hoth, one of the main reasons that I did it is because I wanted frosted tubing, right? Yeah. But I wanted it to be like, you know, the ice had marred it and stuff like that. But I didn't actually come to this idea until I had, well, A, messed something up, and B, had to fix my mistake, you know, right? Because I'm like, oh, God, Jesus, I have this perfect, pristine tubing in here. This one bend going into the CPU is a son of a gun. I don't ever want to have to do that again. And, oh, no, I scuffed it. I scuffed the inside. This crystal clear tubing now has a big old scratch down it.
Or like you scratch the tubing when you like put the nut on it and tighten it on the fitting, and then you have like this round.
You got it. You have this nice round ring that is just like the most hideous thing, and it will always look at you every time you see it. You know, you're just like, oh my God, stop it. It's like the Mona Lisa, you know, with the eyes constantly looking at you.
No one will notice, but like you look at the case and you're like, yep, there it is.
There it is. Yeah, do you see it? Oh my God. Do you see that? And, you know, nobody will.
Worst thing ever.
And sometimes that's just the way that it is, though. You know, sometimes you have to flaunt the imperfection, and kind of touching on some of the imperfections and some of the crazy things that we've ended up having to do. What would be one of the craziest, or maybe the most difficult mods that you've ever had to put together? I mean, obviously you've put together some unbelievable parts. For those of you who don't know, let me just do a quick rundown as I'm scrolling through Instagram, just because this is just off the tip of the tongue, right? Okay. Yeah. We have the Doctor Who, the Dalek. Yep. Yes. Okay, that's a PC. Yeah, so literally a Dalek that moves around, has the thing, has the turret and all that shit, and glows colors and does all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, he built that. This is the Matrix PC mod for the most recent Matrix movie that came out that looks like it has tentacles going out and through it, and it has the main junction
Data
point.
probe.
Yes, yes, the data probe that goes into the back of the head. Boom, there's another one that he's done. Let's see. Oh, Rocket Lake. Yep. Thor's hammer. Yep. Hold on. Let's see what else we got here as I'm scrolling down. Oh, which one was this? Oh, this is the other Avengers?
The black one.
The black one, yes. The Black
Yes,
Avengers
for
PC.
Black Widow.
Yes, that's what it was. It was Black Widow. So he did one that was Thor's hammer. One was that was Black Widow. Look at you. Sexy beast standing next to his Thor hammer. Oh, yeah, the Venom PC, the WRP, the Pikachu build. I mean, do I have to keep going? Oh, hey, look at that. There's the Battle of Hoth. And then right below it, one of my favorites, my all-time favorite build that I've ever seen him do. And I know it's just because, well, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, just like he is, the X-Wing. And that's probably where you have seen most of his stuff, is because the X-Wing was featured on the GeForce Garage, right?
Yes.
And it was featured in multiple display rooms all over the fucking...
The
like,
last
I think it's been all over.
The last one was like CES 2019.
Was that the one that we were at, right? The one where you needed coolant. Yeah. And we had blue stuff. Hey, look at that. Oh, imagine.
Next time I will ask for 5 screws.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know if I can do 5. I can do 8, though, because it comes in a 4-pack. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. You know,
I mean, I don't know. Every mod that I built, basically, they have their own like challenge or difficult parts, because I also like to include and to try out new techniques with each mod, or find different solutions for certain problems. But maybe the most elaborated and time-consuming mod was definitely the X-Wing. I mean, it's almost 6 feet long and 6 feet wide, all 3D printed, and I counted down all the parts that I 3D printed, and with all the small details and stuff, I printed about 352 individual parts.
Holy
27 spools of filament.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. We will post the links to this, because I've got some photos. I'm looking at the Instagram page right now of the X-Wing, which I got to see in person, and obviously us talking about it really does no sort of justice of what this thing actually is. I mean, it's huge. It literally is the size of a frickin' Christmas tree. The graphics card is actually mounted in the back behind BB-8, right?
It's BB-8, yeah.
Yeah, BB-8, who's actually got a motor inside of that. Can you, obviously, on top of the 3D printing, not only did you put a graphics card in the ass end of this thing, but you have BB-8 in it, and it moves around, right?
Yeah, I put a small stepper motor, in the main body of BB-8, so the head is rotating on a random fashion to give the impression of there's actually something happening. And also I call it not the exhaust, but the turbines on the back have an illumination effect. So when everything is programmed with an Arduino, and when I refresh the Arduino, or when you start the PC the first time, it's like an engine starting. It goes from a red, yellow color with white sparks in it, like a starting engine. It turns into a white bluish color, and also with small sparks of white light flashes inside. So it's like starting engine and then going full speed. But unfortunately, that's a detail no one ever sees, because when we display the X-Wing, it's always face front, the nose is in front, and then the turbine is basically at the back against the wall, and I have to no, come around here.
Yep.
Look.
Yeah, you have to show the back end of it. Yeah. I know, it's crazy. Yeah. I got to see this thing in person, and again, we're going to share the photos. It'll be in the details in the information below. But the rear end of this thing is just incredible to see the startup sequence happen, because like you're like, what in the hell is going on? Oh my god. And it's like, if you've ever seen how a turbine engine actually starts the motor, it starts with a couple snap crackle pops and then goes and like then you have your thrust until it reaches
the basic idea behind it. Yeah,
right, exactly. And so like to see this actually happen in person is just unbelievable. And again, the graphics card and the way that it's mounted is in the back, so when the graphics card turns on and everything like that, because it's the Titan Star Wars edition graphics card, it glows green throughout the top, and I think it is RGB, right? Or does it only grow green?
It's only green.
It's only green, right? Because the two different types of cards.
Yeah. The Sith version is red, and the Jedi version is green.
Is the green, right?
From the illumination, yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you the backside. This also, by the way, he created for us and for the Battle of Hoth. They came to us before they were actually painted or anything like that. They were just complete resin cast. So on the bottom here, you can see that this is what it actually came out to be. And then we went ahead and painted them and did the weathering effects and all that stuff. But the backside here, these engines, that's what he's talking about. So these engines on the X-Wing actually light up. And don't the laser cannons actually have lights on them too?
Yeah, like a cross pattern with like blue LEDs.
Oh, that's cool.
Like shooting lasers.
Yeah, that's.
And I mean, the most difficult part of everything was how to get the hardware inside, and also because my 3D printer only has like a certain size, so I couldn't print, of course, the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have to cut the main body into so many different.
Right, and then you have to like don't you have to like I don't know exactly know what the terminology would be, but I like in carpentry terms, right? It would be like a tongue and groove type of thing where you're having to put the two pieces together and mesh them, right?
Yeah, I in my 3D designs, because I started with the X-Wing, I started just with 3 or 4 pictures from the movie, so a side view, top-down view. And then I made my own 3D model. And while I was modeling the shape, I already included like small little holes where I knew that I want to put 2 pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
And making like in each of the parts a hole, I at the end could include a small like metal rod. So when I pushed the parts together, they are perfectly aligning for the gluing process, basically.
Oh, nice. And so, like, is the inside of the wings and everything like that, does it have bracing, I would imagine, throughout the whole thing, kind of keeping it together as well as it being glued? Or are they actually...
The metal rods are holding parts together, and the inside of the main body are used in an epoxy coating.
Okay.
That also strengthens the entire body.
Yeah, it's like a hardening epoxy, right?
Yeah.
I gotcha. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically an epoxy or a cast, right? You have to mix up the multiple parts in order to create the cast. But then certain casts that you make, you need a hardening compound that kind of goes with it to ensure that what you've created now stays 100% solid. If that's, I guess, the basic way of putting it. Because again, I'm no pro modder like you are, sir. I mean, I've done some things, but
I mean, luckily nowadays there are like special epoxy resins or glues or casting material, like for so many different purposes, and there are special kinds of resins you use exactly for that purpose, to smear it on the inside of something just to harden it up and make it a bit more rich and stiff.
Yep. And that's what we always want, is nice, rich, and stiff, right? Right. Oh, man. All right. So that being said, the X-Wing is probably his most honored PC, I would say. That would be my guess. Can I go out on a limb here and guess that that's probably your favorite too? Or if it isn't your favorite, what is your favorite? Because, dude, you've got some, I mean, the War Machines? Are you kidding me? The WRP Wargaming? Oh, my God. That is just... So freaking cool. So, which is your favorite PC or design or whatever that you've put together?
I mean, it's really hard to tell. I mean, I like spaceships a lot, or like any kind of space or air vehicle, let's say. So I would say the X-wing is my favorite, but like the Vapor has also his nice designs, like all the programmed LEDs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
The
hard to tell.
LEDs. That's really that's what did it for me because you
Yeah,
know, Stefan has done not only an incredible job when it comes to builds, but he goes that extra step again, kind of like the X-wing, where you know the engines have a startup sequence when the freaking thing literally when you turn it on, and BB-8 is looking around, you know, in a sporadic motion to actually sense like it's there, you know. So
yeah,
for for Whopper or WOPR, the wargaming machine, Nomad, right? The
yeah.
there's the LEDs that you would see from the movies, obviously, that are all the way around the outside of the machine. And he actually went through and you like hand soldered and designed all that, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was the original Vapor. I think has 666 lights,
Okay.
and I tried to, because the mod is only that big. I think it's 36 inches. I don't know. It's 36. Yeah, maybe like 75 centimeters ish.
So
So
yeah, like 3.5 foot, 3.5 foot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's a decent size for a desk. Let's say.
Yeah.
So I don't. I included, I think, 100 for the large panels, 160 or 186 LEDs on the two sides. So a lot of LEDs.
Mm-hmm.
And every LED, I had like a friend of mine, Jim Waste, living down in Cleveland. He like laser cut the aluminum for me, where I put the LEDs inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then each LED, I had to solder a small capacitor on it. I had to test it, and then glued it in place and soldered each LED to each LED, because they are also controlled with an Arduino, and that took like hours.
Oh my god. That sounds like painstaking time.
Yeah, I mean it's some kind of meditating also, because it's basically at some point the same motion over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then of course what always happens is you have the code ready, you connect everything, make a test, and nothing happens, and you're like, oh, why,
Nothing
why?
worked.
Yeah. And then like you have to figure out, and you have to search online for solutions. Why is my stuff not working? And then you come across this, oh yeah, if you want to power up so many LEDs, you don't or you just can't put the power input to one side. You have to like inject it into multiple spots along the way. And then I get it now. Put 5 volt here, 5 volt there, and 5 volt at the end. At some point it worked, and then realize, oh, those LEDs get hot, and I haven't thought about like an inside solution to get all the heat from the LEDs. So
Oh
now you are
no.
thinking, oh, now the LEDs are working, and now I have to figure out a mounting system for like small
Like
25 millimeter fans for
some
the
sort of
inside.
ventilation, yeah, because
Yeah,
those things are going to be unbelievably hot. And I
yeah,
mean, just because of the sheer amount of them. Now, what size LEDs were they? They were 5?
5 millimeter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5 millimeter. Okay, so at full power, 5 millimeter LED is going to emit a lot of heat. Like, a lot.
especially like you need. I think I calculated. I needed like an extra power supply
Mm-hmm.
with like 40 amps to power everything. I
What?
think I don't know how much they drew at the end, but it was like I think 10 amps or something, and
That's
it gets
insane.
hot. Yeah,
That's nuts, you know. And what we're talking about is again, we were talking about voltages and amperages last. I think it was a podcast ago or two podcasts ago, even. But we were talking about how it's not necessarily about the wattage, it's about that amperage. And that's what you got to be careful of. And I mean, the fact that he's saying it's pulling that much and he needed another power supply, that's a lot of LEDs. So what'd you end up doing? Would you put like a little fan in there in order to circulate the like where you had your aluminum plates, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I had like two fans sitting on the back end where the 3 panels of the LEDs connect to push all the heat through the entire case. And then the original Whopper, fortunately, has a small air vent on the back side. And I put also like small fans in there. So I had like a nice way of getting it out. Yeah.
Nice.
Because I had to cool the system, the PC inside, I also cut holes in the wooden base where it stands on. So there's always at least a little bit of suction of fresh air to the inside.
Right.
I mean, it's not, from a cooling standpoint, most mods are not the greatest, but it's getting the job done, basically.
And I guess that's a wonderful way to talk about this, because the next question kind of segues into this. Now, a lot of people have the misconception that these mods that we put together are like super cool and like have ultimate cooling and stuff like that. And I can tell you from personal experience, this thing over here gets so damn hot, it's unbelievable. Why do you think I have the glass panel off and the top is like cracked open?
Yeah.
These okay, for example, how hot's that X-Wing get? I'm sure that the GPU is probably not bad because it's air-cooled and it's getting suction in from the top. However, what's the CPU sit at?
I mean, I haven't measured the CPU yet, but when I let it run for a longer time and I put my hand onto the water tank, it's getting warm nicely. Yeah. I have a temperature sensor, and when it's running too long, the water gets like from 25 C to like 36. Not 40, but 35, 36, which for only a CPU is...
It's a little warm.
I have only the smallest pump inside. I think it's from AlphaCool, a 2600.
Oh yeah, it's like the DDC, right? The DDC.
DDC, yeah.
DDC LT.
But this very small
or
version
DCLT, that's what it is. Sorry.
DCLT, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, it only can handle a certain amount of water, and
that's a very nice way of putting it.
Yeah. What I'm always thinking is like, for me and for my approach to case modding is basically design goes over functionality.
Yeah,
and that's when that's what I like about the discussions, when some people come and say, oh yeah, but this is totally not practical. And I'm like, yeah, and it shouldn't be.
It's an X-Wing and it's 6 foot wide. What the hell do you want it to be? Like, a Christmas tree is impractical, but guess what? Everyone and their mom goes and gets one every December, so kiss ass. Like, what do you want?
Nowadays, I try to also, because from my first case mods, I took like an hour, sometimes 2 hours to just get water in or out, because I was like, oh yeah, that looks cool, but it's totally impractical to put the pump above the water tank. So, and the time I needed to fill and drain the systems, it's a learning process, basically. Over time, you just think about how do you want to incorporate the loop if you are going the water cool way. And like the X-Wing is designed in that way that I think I get 95 to like 98% of the water I get out of the system. So it's basically empty.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, if you ask, Hoth is a nightmare to fill. Like, oh my God. And there is a fill and a drain on it.
Yeah.
Not anywhere in the right spot. Not even close to working. You tilt that thing at a 45-degree angle like this, and then fill it and turn it on, and you let it run slowly, you know?
Yeah.
But You're absolutely right. Over time, you kind of figure out where they need to be.
Yeah, but I mean, even sometimes it's just not possible. The last case I built for NVIDIA, the Matrix system,
Mm-hmm.
I even added 2 drain ports because there are radiators on each side
Mm-hmm.
of the case, and the pump is a bit higher than the radiators, and I wanted to get as much out as possible,
Mm-hmm.
but the motherboard and the graphics card are placed in that kind of a way that I just can't get the water out no matter what I'm doing.
It's frustrating.
Sometimes it's frustrating. And even if you fill it, then you get like, oh yeah, let's just make a video or some pictures of the mod, and then you fill up the system and there is this small tiny air bubble that just won't leave the GPU block, and you are like tilting it, almost putting it upside down, and it's just not getting away.
You shake it like it owes you money, okay?
Yeah.
And you rock it around like you're real angry, like your mom told you no, you can't go to the party tonight. You, God damn it, Mom, I wanted to go tonight. Everybody's gonna be there. And you pray to God, but it never works. It never happens, because there's always going to be that one bubble, and it's always in the GPU.
Of course, and right in front of the spot, like where the water goes through the fins and cools the chip underneath, right at that spot.
Oh, right. Yeah, like, there's like a little lip, like that little tiny little lip that every manufacturer has, and it's like, yep, we're just gonna. Oh, you have pastel coolant? That's cool. Yeah. We're gonna make it a little bit white right here along that edge, just so you remember there's a little air bubble.
Yeah, you better get the bubble out now, because in 2 days there's a small crust around it, and you will never get it away again.
You wanted to drain your loop and take it all apart and scrub with a toothbrush, right? That's what you wanted to do? Oh, okay. Yeah, right. No? Okay. Yeah. Well,
I mean, but that are things you just come across, and you learn to deal with it, so...
I guess that's a perfect way to ask one of our final questions here. So if you were going to give some advice to somebody who's either getting into PC modding or PC building or anything like that, what tip, trick, little tidbit, anything, it could just be a one-liner tip or a full-fledged, session, what do you got to tell them? What do you got to tell our audience and our viewers, our listeners, the folks that have never done it before? I don't know. It's my first time.
I think the best advice, no, not the best advice, but the thing because I also give like workshops for cosplayers on how to use certain materials, and I always say, just do it. Make a small change or do a small project with what you think you can handle, and don't look look at other builds for inspiration, but not from a quality point maybe at the beginning, because you just get overwhelmed by all the stuff you see, and then you feel insecure and, oh, I never can do it, or I'm not capable of doing it. And the best thing is just to try it out, or try 1 or 2 different methods, see what's right for you. Because the nice thing about modding is that there's nothing wrong. When you think that whatever you've built or whatever you made out of your PC, when it pleases you, that's all it has to do, basically. And no matter what others say, I mean, I have heard so much bad stuff about the things that I built in the beginning, or even nowadays, people come to me and say, "Oh yeah, nice concept, haha, but it looks like crap for me." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's fine, but I don't build it to impress you. I build it to impress myself, and I like the design. So basically, just do it. Don't get intimidated by others. If you like it, it's perfectly fine."
I think that's very well said, and it kind of touches base on what some of our other guests have said, which is, if you don't take that leap of faith per se, I'm not saying to dive into religion. That's probably not a great idea. But what I'm getting at is if you take a leap of faith into water cooling and yourself or modding or anything that you think that you can do, you probably can, Yeah. And there's plenty of people that are around the world and around nowadays that will teach you and show you how to do that. I mean, there's YouTube, there's the internet, there's Stefen. You can call him. I mean, I can call him, but you guys probably can't, certain things.
No, I mean, it's always what I say to people is like, if you are at a spot where you don't know the answer, like search for advice, because it is so unlikely that the question you have is the first time that this question came up. There are other people around dealing with the same problem, and that's what I like about giving like workshops for others about like materials or how to build stuff is I invested already a lot of money in doing things wrong, and I basically threw so much stuff out of the window because I handled materials wrong or it doesn't came out the way I wanted. So asking for advice is I think a fundamental, not skill, but it's fundamental for achieving goals basically. I mean, I also do it when I don't know how to program 400 LEDs. What I'm doing is I'm just going to the internet basically, and I go to forums or like chat groups and I just ask for advice. Hey, can someone look at my code because I don't want to burn my 400 soldered LEDs now.
I don't want to do it again. That's for sure.
Yeah. Luckily, in most communities, there are people that are always willing to help, because also for them, it's like, oh, nice. We have like a new person who's coming to us and also want to dive into, or like for case modding, who wants to dive into the hobby of case modding. Why not help you to also achieve your goals? And I mean, if people have questions, they can reach out to me. I try my best to answer. I mean, I get some requests and questions like all the time, and I will try and do my best to answer them as good as possible, or like point you in a direction where you can find answers. So,
well, that's awesome, because that's what we are here to do. Is with the ModMyMods Meet the Modder podcast and stuff like that. It's not to only to show off who you are and everything like that, but to maybe educate some of the people that are listening to have the confidence to put together their own PC or put together something or modify or cut something or make it their own, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure our listeners and our viewers do too, because, that exchange of information, we always joke, because how do you know if you don't ask? Right? How do I know that you can't put three 3090s together in the same thing, run off 1600 watt power supply until you try?
Right?
Didn't know. I had to try. Now I tried. I fried one. Now I know better. But now I can tell you that. Right?
Right? Because I want to put three 3090s together. Maybe someone had tried before. So look for advice.
And you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money by doing a little bit of research, and a little bit of research goes a heck of a long way when it comes to making sure that you have the right parts, the right tools, the right things, because it does make a difference when you're working with the right equipment and have the right things that you need.
And also, like 10 minutes of reading can save you 1 week of work.
Oh God, yes. Absolutely. I can tell you that from building motors. I've built the same motor probably 7, 8, 9 times. Right? And I can tell you that there's one part that I always forget, and it's when you route the belt, line everything up, and then you route the belt the one way, and then you're supposed to put this little hook thing in first and then put the belt on. I always forget it. But that's something that you could have saved yourself a hell of a lot of time, because you got to now take the thing out and all this other stuff, when you could have just, looked it up or asked. I don't know. Stefen's well versed in 1980s turbo Dodge motors, but maybe he would have known. I could have called, but I didn't ask. So, Well, Stefen, I appreciate you being on the show today. I really can't say enough about you and how awesome you are for being here. If people are looking for you and you want to be found, where can they find you? Where can they get all of your latest and greatest information and photos and social and all that good, happy horseshit?
I mean, I am active on mostly Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Okay.
And if you just search basically for random design, on Instagram it's random design 3D, unfortunately, and on Facebook too. But YouTube is just random design. Then I will pop up. I also have like an old school website which no one looks at, but yeah, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I also have a Twitter. It's also at random design, but I'm not very familiar with this
Not
kind
very
of
often. That's not
No.
not very often. I have tagged you, and I still get the cold shoulder, and it's makes me sad inside. Okay, makes me sad. Least you could do. We appreciate me liking your stuff.
Let me see. I will just now.
Yeah, as he goes and he likes it while we're sitting here. Well,
Just retweet it now.
yeah, he's retweeting it. He's doing it right now. Well, thank you again for being on the show, and hopefully our listeners had a wonderful time being here as well, and hopefully we were able to bring you a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of insight, and a little bit of education when it comes to modding in the computer world and who good old Mr. Stefen Ulrich is and random design. And as always, if you guys ever want to catch up on this podcast or more, please check out ModMyMods.com. You can also find us on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on iTunes, on all of those other great places that you catch your podcasts. I appreciate you all joining me for this segment of the Mod My Mods Meet the Modders podcast. Until next time, have yourself a wonderful rest of the day, night, weekend, afternoon, whatever it may be, and we'll catch you next time.